Do you ever feel like you are drowning in information and yet still missing the key bits of information that could set your career or your business apart? Well, I've built an automation that can research any subject you like automatically and give you a report every day with a summary of what's going on, suggested actions that you can take, and even a potential email that you could send to your boss or to your clients to let them know what's going on and what kind of things they can do about it. This is the kind of information that you get rewarded for being on top of, because it's the kind of stuff that most people miss. In this video, I'm going to take you through step by step how to build this for yourself so that you can have your market research automatically running by AI on your behalf every day. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is head into make.com and scenarios, and here you just want to build a brand new scenario. Here you can see we've got a blank scenario set up, and we're just going to hit this and hit RSS. Now we're going to pick retrieve RSS items from a specified URL. If you want your news stories to come through as they happen, then you would hit watch RSS feed items. For the purposes of this one, I want to set it up so that I get a digest coming through every day. This is going to be great for people who work in marketing or in PR because they're going to be ahead of whatever's coming up for them that day. So you hit retrieve RSS feed items, and then what you want to do is create the RSS feed. So if you go on over to rss.app, and up in the corner here, you want to hit new feed. So for the purposes of this, I'm going to do mine on OpenAI, an AI channel after all. So if we just type in here OpenAI and then run it, here you can see it's now created my feed of news that it's scanned from the internet. Now here you can sort it automatically or by last added. Because I want mine to be all about staying up to date with the latest news, I'm going to hit last added. Here you can see it's updated that so that I've got the most recent news coming through. We're just going to hit save feed so that that's now saved, and that will give me a link here to hit copy on. Now if we go back to make, here you'll see we just drop in the URL here, and I'm going to leave the date from and date to for now, and then maximum number of returned items. I'm going to hit 1. That's because this is a demonstration. If you want your news summary to bring through 3, 4, 5, whatever pieces of news, you can then add that in here. For the purposes of this, we're just going to have 1 though. So then we are going to hit save, then hit save on the automation itself. So what that has now done, it's created my feed and it's allowing me to pull that news through into my automation. From there, we're going to add a new module, and what we want now is HTTP and get a file. So here you can see it downloads a file from a given URL, and the URL that we want to download from obviously is the RSS feed, and here you can see URL. Now what that's going to be is the URL of the original news story. So I'll hit save here. If I head back to my RSS feed, you can see all of these are news from, this one's from The Atlantic, this one's from Nairametrics. The URL that I'm selecting in here is the URL for the story that I've pulled through into my RSS feed. That's going to get a whole file for me, and that's going to be full of lots of jargon that I don't need. So the next module that we want to bring is the text parser. Now this is because we want to convert the file that we've got from the URL, which will be in HTML, into plain text. So the HTML is just going to be here. When you hover over the thing that it is that you want to do, it will start pulsating. So if I were to say hover over this, you can see that the RSS module is now pulsating. So for this, I want the data that my HTTP module has pulled out of that RSS feed. So if we hit that there, hit save, I've now got a text parser that is pulling the plain text out of the HTTP file. Now here it is not going to be happy about this, and that is because it doesn't want this to be the last module. It wants me to do something else, because parsing is just pulling the data, it's not doing anything with it, so it doesn't like that being the last one. Okay, so now we've got our RSS and all of our file retrieval set up. We're just going to hit save. It's not going to like it because of the transformer issue, but we're going to save anyway. Now the next thing that we want to do is set up the AI assistants that are going to help us generate our research. Head on over to the OpenAI developer platform. Here you can see I've got a couple of GPTs that I've set up before. If you don't know what Tommy GPT is, that means you haven't watched my previous video on setting up your personal AI avatar. So be sure to check that out. It'll be here or here. If you're interested in learning how to make a AI avatar of yourself. But for the time being, what we want to do is hit create here. And we are creating a new assistant. So what we're going to do is call this summary bot. And for system instructions, we're just going to tell it, you are a marketing assistant who reads news stories and summarizes them in simple and concise terms. The model we're going to use here is GPT-4o Mini. Now, the reason that I'm not using one of the more advanced models like O1 is because I don't want to get rate limited. Now, if you are using the OpenAI API a lot, then you can increase your rate limits with increased spend. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to assume that anybody watching this is going to want to run this on more than one article and may not be ramping up massively on API spend. So if you use Mini, that means that you're not going to hit those token limits as quickly. You prioritize the most important and relevant aspects of the story and leave out any details about the news publication or anything else that's not directly about the story itself. The reason why we're adding all of this context is because sometimes when you pull the files from the URLs, you will have lots of other information that exists in that news article. Things like social shares, things like the journalist, sometimes their bio, all of that kind of stuff. For this bit, the summary of the story, all we want is the story itself. On this one, I'm just going to keep the temperature and the top P the same. If you want the summaries to be a bit more flowery and using more elaborate terminology, then you can turn the temperature up. I don't want that, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. Now, if I go to Playground, this is where I would be able to drop in a new story and get it to summarize it. So let's go back to our feed. We're going to open up one of these stories. Let's just copy the text and drop it in just to make sure everything is working. Get rid of the picture, we don't need that. And you can see here it's got all of this other information. Like I said, hopefully we can eliminate. Let's hit run. Okay, so here you can see we've got that full summary of the article that has dropped in here. Now, if we head back over to our workflow, we can hit this and hit OpenAI. And what we want to do is message an assistant. And hopefully summary bot is here, and you can see it's set up for G4o Mini, so that's definitely the right one. So we hit summary bot, and now all of our requests are going to run through summary bot. The reason why we've set this up separately rather than writing all of the prompt directly in the workflow is so that you can use summary bot for any other workflows that you want to do. If you want to create an email workflow where you're making summaries of the news for other reasons, you can still use this same bot and drop it straight in. So here, the message, pretty simple. You can just drop in the text. That's it, because we've set up the system prompt. You could also, if you want to, ask it for different things here, but for the purposes of this, we are just going to go with the summary. So you can hit save there. After you've done your summary bot, the next thing that we're going to want is just a little bit of background on the publication itself. So to do that, we're going to use Perplexity AI. So Perplexity, create a chat completion, and then on here, you're only going to need a small model. First of all, you want to hit role user. You don't need a system prompt for this because it's a pretty basic task that we're going to ask it to do. So here we're going to say check out, and then you just want to get the URL. And the reason we're using Perplexity here is because Perplexity is kind of like a bot that has search and AI generation built in. So it can go away and it can check out the URL. So you can say check out URL and give me a short one-sentence summary of its readership and circulation. So essentially from this, all we want is something super simple, which is just that little bit of background on exactly what it is that we are looking at here. Because sometimes not everybody understands what title it is that you're reading. So that's done. What we now need to do is create another assistant. So if you go back to assistants and back to the dashboard, we're going to create another one. This is going to be called email bot. So this is the one that is going to write the email for you, which is going to go to your boss or to your client or to whoever. It's going to write an email that's not only got the summary, but it's also going to have actions and like context specific stuff that it understands about your business. Okay, so system instructions, we're going to say you are an account executive company called Tommy AI. So we're going to work with a fictional company called Tommy AI. Obviously here you would drop in your own company. You read news stories and write emails to circulate to clients and senior staff. These include context-specific notes and actions. So here again, we're going to use GPT-4 Mini, and we're going to this time hit file search. And the reason for this is because what you're going to want is a background document. So I've created a fictional background document for my fictional company, Tommy AI. And here you can see this is all completely made up by AI along with me. So Tommy AI is a pioneering technology company, yada, 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 yada. So it's got key USPs and it's got key spokespeople, again, all made up. Tommy AI remains dedicated to delivering AI solutions that are easy to implement, yada, yada, yada. Most companies will have a messaging document of some kind. You want to get that messaging document and drop it in here. If you're at a technology firm, you might have lots of key points about your tech that you'd like to talk about with customers. This is where you put that in. We're going to download that and we're just going to take it as plain text because it's just going to be read by AI. So why do you need it formatted? Then you hit save on that. And then we go back to our assistant. Here you can see files. This is where you want to upload your background document. So let's attach that. Now, if you've got other documents about your company or about yourself or whatever, this is where you want to drop them into the file search. This is an assistant that can reference all of that company information and use it when it's crafting emails or notes around your business. So it's working on your behalf with the context of your company. This is now sorted. Again, I'm going to leave the temperature as it is. You might want to bring it down. If you've got a boss that's got a stick up there, you might want to take the temperature down so it's super, super plain and boring. If you work in a creative studio or something, you might want to turn the temperature up and make it a little bit more flowery and exciting. For now, I'm going to leave the temperature just there as it is. Next up, we go back to Make and we're going to access that email bot. So we go back to OpenAI, we go to Message and Assistant, and the assistant is going to be email bot. Now, the email bot has got all of that context about your company, but it doesn't yet know exactly what you want it to do. So if we go into message, what we're going to say is read the result of the summary bot, then write a note for your boss at Tommy AI with a short introduction to the story, including the readership information in Perplexity, as well as some context relevant actionable steps you could take to capitalize on the latest news for Tommy AI. So now we're going to hit save, and then we're going to hit save on the full automation, and I'm just going to run it as a test to make sure that everything is completing as expected. So I'll hit run once. Here you can see it's pulled the story, it's taken the file out from the URL, it's passed that into plain text, it's now creating a summary of the story, then it's gone to Perplexity to get the readership, and now we've got the assistant email bot creating that email for us. And this is the first time I've done this. I'm going to take a look. Let's see. Here we go. So you can see subject, strategic opportunity, Stargate project announcement. I want to bring your attention to a recent announcement regarding the Stargate project. So this is all about the story that it's pulled. And you can see here, it's got that summary and it's included the readership, lots of detail there. And now it's given those action steps. We should consider aligning our messaging to highlight how Tommy AI's offering can complement initiatives like the Stargate project, engagement with the Atlantic. We should explore potential partnership opportunities, networking opportunities, content development, market analysis. So there you can see that is an email that I would be perfectly happy to send to my boss at Tommy AI, being that he is me, I guess. It's super professional. We've asked it to give us a professional tone, and it also understands what Tommy AI does because of that context that we've already uploaded. So that's the crucial thing here. You've given it a bit of a knowledge base so that it can give those context-specific recommendations. What are we going to do with this information now? The final thing that we want to do is send it somewhere. So what I'm going to do is send it over into Slack. You can use the information however you wish. You might want to email it to yourself. I work in Slack, and so I want to use Slack. So here we're going to see if we can create a message. Here we can. Hit create a message. I'm going to hit TE Tech News. Here we are in the Slack module. In the Slack module, you will need to set up your Slack connection. I'm not going to go into lots of detail on that right now because it takes a little while. But once you've got that set up, you need to set up as many scopes as you can. Here, you want to select a channel from the list. Here, I've got one called Email Test Bot, which I've just created. And then the text is literally just going to be the result. And then I'm going to hit save. Okay, now let's run the automation. Here you can see the RSS feed again, getting the news, pulling out the file, passing it into text. The summary bot is doing its job in summarizing. Then we're going to Perplexity for the readership. Then we're going to the email bot to create that email for our boss or for our client. And then hopefully, once that's done, we're going to get a message into Slack. If I hop back over to Slack, here you can see that it's pulled that same story because it's the one that's top of the RSS feed. Obviously, when there's a new story, then it's going to pull the most recent one. Here, you've got the whole email for you. Actionable steps all dropped into our custom-made Slack channel. So that's the full automation. Now you know how to have a bot working on your behalf, pulling your market research for you every day so that you can impress your boss or you can get that competitive edge on the competition for your business. Be sure to subscribe for all of the latest AI tools, tips, and tricks, and I'll see you next time.